In the vast expanse of space, far beyond the reaches of human exploration, lay the Centauri Empire civilization so advanced that its people considered themselves gods among lesser species. Their homeworld, Zithera, was a planet covered in shimmering crystalline forests and towering spires made from living metal. To them, everything else in the galaxy existed merely to serve or be forgotten. Humans, on the other hand, were seen as nothing more than primitive creatures scraping by on their tiny blue-green rock at the edge of nowhere. The Centauri had observed Earth for centuries but dismissed it as irrelevant, just another backwater world filled with squabbling tribes unable to rise above their base instincts. They even had a saying about humans, fleeting sparks doomed to fade, but one day something happened that would shake this belief to its core. It began not on Earth but deep within the heart of the Centauri Empire itself. Queen Valithra, ruler of the Centauri, paced anxiously across the translucent floor of her royal chamber. Her segmented legs clicked softly against the glowing surface as she stared out into the endless void through a massive window pane. She was troubled not because of war or rebellion, but because of something far more personal. Years ago, during a diplomatic mission to a distant star system, her youngest child, Prince Keleth, had vanished without a trace. No ransom demands were made. No enemy claimed responsibility. He simply disappeared. For years the Empire scoured the stars, searching every corner of known space, yet there was no sign of him. Many assumed he was dead, lost forever to some cosmic accident. But Queen Valithra refused to give up hope. And then came the signal, a faint transmission, intercepted by one of the Empire's deep space probes. At first it seemed like random noise, but when decoded it revealed fragments of what appeared to be human speech. Stranger still, embedded within the data was a faint biometric signature matching Prince Keleth's unique genetic markers. The source of the signal? A small farming colony on Earth called Willowbrook. Queen Valithra summoned her council immediately. When she explained the discovery, shock rippled through the room. How could a human settlement possibly have anything to do with the missing prince? Some suggested it might be a trap set by an unknown rival empire. Others whispered theories of sabotage or betrayal within their own ranks. But one thing was certain: if Prince Keleth truly was alive and somehow connected to these humans, they needed answers. A decision was made swiftly. An elite scouting team would be dispatched to investigate Willowbrook under strict orders to remain unseen unless absolutely necessary. If the humans were hiding something, or worse, experimenting on the prince, they would face swift retribution. Yet, even as preparations began, Queen Valithra couldn't shake the feeling that this mystery ran deeper than anyone imagined. Meanwhile, thousands of light years away, life went on as usual in Willowbrook. Nestled between rolling hills and golden fields, the small community thrived on simplicity. Most residents spent their days tending crops, raising livestock, and sharing meals with neighbors. Among them was Jonas Harper, a widowed farmer who worked tirelessly to provide for his young daughter, Ellie, though they weren't wealthy. Their bond was strong, built on love and resilience. Jonas had always been a man of quiet determination. After losing his wife to illness, he poured all his energy into ensuring Ellie had a good life. One evening, while fixing a broken fence near the edge of his property, Jonas noticed something unusual glinting in the twilight. Curious, he approached, and discovered a strange object half buried in the soil. It looked almost organic, with smooth, iridescent surfaces that shifted colors depending on how the light hit it. Intrigued, he brought it back to his workshop, unaware of the storm it would soon unleash. That night, as Jonas tinkered with the artifact, Ellie wandered into the barn, clutching her favorite stuffed animal, a gift from her late mother. She paused, staring intently at the glowing object. "It feels warm," she said softly, reaching out to touch it. In that moment, the artifact pulsed brightly, emitting a soft hum that resonated through the air. Startled, Jonas pulled Ellie back, but neither of them noticed the faint image flickering briefly on the barn wall, a silhouette resembling a tall, slender figure with elongated limbs. Little did they know this discovery would draw the attention of forces far greater than themselves. forces that viewed humanity as insignificant and others that might come to see them differently. As dawn broke over Willowbrook, the skies above remained calm. But hidden among the stars, the Zentari fleet prepared to descend upon Earth, driven by questions only humans could answer. And somewhere in the depths of the cosmos, Queen Valithra watched and waited, her heart torn between hope and dread. For the first time in centuries, humanity stood unknowingly on the brink of galactic significance. What began as a simple act of curiosity in a quiet farming town would soon ignite a chain of events that would challenge the very foundation of the Zentari Empire and redefine what it meant to be human. The Zentari scouting team arrived on Earth. Under the cover of darkness, their sleek reconnaissance vessel cloaked in shimmering invisibility fields. The ship hovered silently above Willowbrook, its sensors scanning every inch of the small farming community below. From their vantage point high in the atmosphere, the alien operatives observed the humans with a mixture of disdain and curiosity. To them, these creatures seemed laughably primitive, tiny, fragile beings who huddled together in wooden houses and toiled endlessly in muddy fields. But there was something unsettling about this place. The biometric signature of Prince Caliph grew stronger as they approached, emanating from somewhere near the edge of Jonas Harper's property. The scout leader, Commander Zirek, narrowed his multifaceted eyes as he studied the data streaming across his holographic display. "This is impossible," he muttered to himself. "How could a human settlement possess any trace of the prince?" It defied logic. Meanwhile, down on the ground, Jonas Harper had no idea that his quiet life was about to change forever. After discovering the strange artifact the previous night, he decided to take it into town to show Dr. Evelyn Carter, the local veterinarian and closest thing Willowbrook had to a scientist. Though skeptical at first, Evelyn couldn't deny the object's otherworldly qualities. Its surface pulsed faintly when touched, and it emitted a low hum that resonated deep in her chest. "It's not like anything I've ever seen before," Evelyn admitted, turning the artifact over in her hands. "Whatever it is, it's definitely not from around here." Jonas frowned. "You think it's alien?" Evelyn hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I don't know what else it could be. But if it is extraterrestrial, we need to figure out why it ended up here and whether it's dangerous." Unbeknownst to them, their conversation was being monitored by the Zentari scouts. Through advanced listening devices, Commander Zirek heard every word. His mandibles twitched with agitation. These humans were already speculating about the artifact's origins, which meant they might uncover more than the Zentari wanted them to know. He gave the order for his team to move closer, preparing to retrieve the object quietly and erase all evidence of their presence. That evening, as dusk settled over Willowbrook, Jonas returned home with the artifact tucked safely inside a burlap sack. Ellie greeted him at the door, her face lighting up with excitement. "Did you find out what it is?" she asked eagerly. "Not yet," Jonas replied, ruffling her hair. "But Dr. Carter thinks it's important, maybe even special." Ellie's eyes widened. "Special how?" Before Jonas could answer, a sudden gust of wind swept through the open window, carrying with it an eerie whistling sound. Both father and daughter froze, staring out into the darkening fields beyond their house. There was nothing visible, but the air felt charged, as though the world itself was holding its breath. Commander Zirek and two of his subordinates had landed mere yards away, concealed by their cloaking technology. They moved like shadows, silent and deliberate, their long limbs bending unnaturally as they closed in on the farmhouse. Their mission was clear: secure the artifact, eliminate witnesses, and leave no trace of their intervention. As Jonas stepped outside to investigate the strange noise, he stumbled upon the burlap sack lying open on the porch. The artifact was gone. Panic surged through him as he realized someone or something had taken it. Before he could call out to Ellie, a sharp crackle filled the air, followed by a blinding flash of light. Instinctively, Jonas shielded his eyes, stumbling backward until he collided with the railing. When the light faded, 3 towering figures stood before him, their insectoid forms now fully visible. Their armored exoskeletons gleamed menacingly. In the moonlight, and their compound eyes glowed with an unnatural intensity. Jonas froze, his heart pounding in his chest. For a moment, neither side moved. It was as if time itself had stopped. Then Ellie appeared behind him, clutching his arm tightly. Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Dad, what are they?" One of the aliens, the one with markings denoting leadership, stepped forward, raising a clawed hand toward Jonas. Low, guttural sound emanated from its throat, incomprehensible yet undeniably threatening. Jonas tightened his grip on Ellie, shielding her with his body. Despite his fear, he found himself speaking, his voice steady despite the chaos swirling inside him. "You don't scare me," he said firmly, surprising even himself. "If you want that thing back, fine, but you're not hurting my daughter." The aliens exchanged confused glances. This reaction was unexpected. Humans were supposed to be weak, easily intimidated. Yet here was this man standing defiantly against beings far superior in strength and technology. Even more puzzling was the child clinging to him, her wide-eyed gaze filled not with terror, but with a strange sense of wonder. Commander Zirek tilted his head, studying the pair intently. Something about their bond intrigued him. Perhaps it was the way the man protected the girl without hesitation, or the unspoken trust between them. Whatever it was, it didn't align with the Zentaris' preconceived notions of humanity. Before the standoff could escalate further, another anomaly occurred. The artifact suddenly reappeared, floating mid-air between the humans and the aliens. Its glow intensified, bathing the scene in soft, iridescent light. Then, a projection flickered to life, a ghostly image of Prince Caliph, his elongated form. Unmistakable. He looked frail, almost translucent, but alive. The Zentari froze, their composure shattered. Queen Valithra's lost child was indeed connected to these humans, but how? And why? Jonas stared at the apparition, his mind racing. What is going on? He stammered, looking from the image to the aliens and back again. For the first time, Commander Zirek hesitated. Retrieving the artifact was no longer enough. Understanding the connection between the prince and these humans had become imperative. Reluctantly, he signaled his team to retreat. They vanished into the night as quickly as they had come, leaving Jonas and Ellie alone once more, back aboard their cloaked vessel. Zirek transmitted a message to Queen Valithra. "Your Majesty, we have located the source of the signal. The situation is complex. We require further guidance." On Zaydera, Queen Valithra listened intently, her thoughts turbulent. She had hoped for clarity, but instead she faced only more questions. What role did these humans play in her son's fate? And what secrets lay hidden in their seemingly insignificant existence? As dawn broke over Willowbrook, Jonas and Ellie sat together on the porch, trying to make sense of what had happened. The artifact lay dormant in Jonas's lap, its glow dimmed but still present. Whatever it was, it had brought the stars crashing down into their quiet little world, and somewhere among those stars, the Zentari Empire watched, waiting to see what humanity would do next. The days following the encounter with the Zentari left Willowbrook in a haze of uncertainty. Jonas Harper and his daughter Ellie became the center of attention, not that they wanted it. News of the strange artifact spread quickly through the tight-knit farming community, though no one could quite agree on what had happened. Some dismissed it as a prank or an elaborate hoax, while others whispered about aliens and government conspiracies. The only thing everyone seemed to agree on was that something extraordinary had occurred. For Jonas, life felt like walking a tightrope stretched over an abyss. He spent most of his time either repairing fences or pacing nervously around the house, trying to piece together the fragments of what he'd seen. The image of Prince Khalifa, the alien prince, lingered in his mind, haunting him like a half-forgotten dream. What did it mean? Why were these creatures interested in them? And why did the artifact seem drawn to Ellie? Ellie, for her part, approached the situation with wide-eyed curiosity rather than fear. She often sat cross-legged on the floor, staring at the artifact as if expecting it to speak. Occasionally, she would reach out to touch its smooth surface, causing it to pulse faintly in response. To her young mind, the object wasn't frightening, it was magical. Alive in a way she couldn't explain. Dr. Evelyn Carter visited frequently, bringing books and tools borrowed from nearby towns. Though not an expert in extraterrestrial phenomena, she was determined to help however she could. "We need to figure out how this thing works," she told Jonas one evening, adjusting her glasses. "If those beings come back, we'll need answers." Johnson nodded grimly. "And if they don't?" Evelyn hesitated before replying. "Then we still owe it to ourselves to understand what's happening here. This isn't just about us. Anymore, it's about all of humanity." Meanwhile, high above Earth, Queen Velithra convened an emergency council aboard her flagship. The holographic projection of Prince Caliph flickered before them, casting eerie shadows across the chamber. Her advisors argued fiercely, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of opinions. Some advocated immediate military action to retrieve the artifact by force, while others urged caution, fearing retaliation from unknown human defenses. But Queen Velithra remained silent, her thoughts consumed by the memory of her son's frail form. Finally, she raised a clawed hand, silencing the room. "Enough," she commanded, her voice resonating with authority. "We cannot act rashly. These humans may hold the key to finding Caliph, but they are not mere pawns to be manipulated. They have shown courage, resilience, even compassion." Her words stunned the assembly. Never before had a Zentari ruler spoken so highly of any non-Zentari species. Commander Zirek shifted uncomfortably, his mandibles twitching. "Your Majesty, you cannot seriously believe—" "I believe nothing yet," Velithra interrupted sharply, "which is why I am sending you back to observe further. But remember this, do not underestimate them again." Back on Earth, tensions began to rise as unexplained occurrences multiplied. Crops near Jonas's farm grew unnaturally fast overnight, their stalks glowing faintly under moonlight. Livestock wandered aimlessly, lowing softly as though sensing something unseen. Even the weather patterns shifted erratically, with sudden storms rolling in without warning. Rumors swirled that the artifact was somehow responsible, feeding off the energy of the land or perhaps channeling it. One afternoon, a group of curious townsfolk gathered outside Jonas's property, demanding answers. Led by Tom Harris, a gruff but well-meaning neighbor, they weren't hostile, but their frustration was palpable. "Look, Jonas, we're not accusing you of anything," Tom said, hands raised placatingly. "But people are scared. Scared of what might happen next." Jonas sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I get it, Tom. Trust me, I do. But I don't have all the answers. None of us do." Ellie stepped forward then, clutching the artifact protectively. Her small voice carried surprising conviction. "It's not bad," she insisted, looking up at the crowd. "It's helping us." A murmur rippled through the group. Most didn't know what to make of the child's claim, but there was something undeniably sincere about her tone. Slowly, the crowd dispersed, leaving Jonas and Ellie alone once more. That night, Jonas decided to take matters into his own hands. With Evelyn's help, he set up a makeshift lab in the barn, rigging together equipment scavenged from old appliances and spare parts. Using wires, batteries, and sheer determination, they created a rudimentary interface designed to interact with the artifact. It was crude, yes, but it worked. When they activated the device, the artifact responded immediately, projecting a series of symbols onto the barn wall. The markings pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Evelyn scribbled furiously in her notebook, attempting to decode the patterns. After hours of effort, she finally looked up, excitement flickering in her eyes. "It's a message," she breathed. "Or at least part of one. It's incomplete, but I think it's leading us somewhere." "Where?" Jonas asked, leaning closer. Evelyn pointed to a map pinned to the wall. A faint line traced itself across the paper, terminating at a remote location deep in the woods. "There," she said simply. "Whatever this thing wants us to find, it's there." Without hesitation, Jonas grabbed a flashlight and his coat. "Let's go." As they ventured into the forest under the cover of darkness, neither parent nor scientist noticed the invisible presence trailing them. High above, the Zentari scouts watched intently, their cloaked vessel hovering silently. Commander Zirak observed the humans' progress with growing unease. Their ingenuity was undeniable. They had managed to communicate with the artifact, despite having no prior knowledge of its origins. Such resourcefulness was unheard of among lesser species. When Jonas, Evelyn, and Ellie reached the designated spot, they found themselves standing before an ancient tree whose roots twisted upward, like gnarled fingers. Embedded within the trunk was another artifact, nearly identical to the one they already possessed. As Jonas reached out to touch it, both objects flared brilliantly, merging their lights into a single, blinding beacon dot. In that moment, the air shimmered, and a figure materialized before them, a translucent version of Prince Caliph. His voice echoed softly, speaking directly into their minds. *, help me. Far above, the Centauri fleet detected the surge of energy. Queen Valithra leaned forward in her throne, her heart pounding. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to hope. Humanity had just taken its first step toward proving it was more than the sum of its perceived weaknesses, and the galaxy would never be the same. The discovery of the second artifact beneath the ancient tree marked a turning point, not just for Jonas Harper and his small group, but for humanity as a whole. The glowing symbols projected by the merged objects formed patterns so intricate they seemed almost alive. Pulsing in rhythm with the night wind, Dr. Evelyn Carter worked tirelessly to decode the message, her hands trembling with exhaustion yet driven by an unrelenting curiosity. Meanwhile, Jonas stood guard over Ellie, who remained transfixed by the artifact's ethereal glow. As dawn broke over Willowbrook, the decoding efforts finally bore fruit. The symbols translated into coordinates not on Earth but somewhere deep in space. The destination was unmistakably extraterrestrial, far beyond the reaches of human exploration. Yet what truly stunned them was the accompanying phrase embedded within the data. *Caliph lives. Ellie whispered the words aloud, her voice soft but filled with wonder. He's still out there. Jonas clenched his fist, torn between disbelief and resolve. If this is true, if your mom were here, she'd tell us we can't ignore it. We have to do something. Evelyn nodded, her eyes reflecting both awe and dread. But how? We don't even know where to start. Before anyone could respond, the air around them shimmered again, and Prince Caliph's translucent form reappeared. This time, his image was clearer, more defined. His elongated limbs moved gracefully as he extended one claw-like hand toward Ellie. Though no sound escaped his lips, his thoughts resonated directly in their minds. You hold the key, Caliph's voice echoed softly. Find me, save me. Then, as abruptly as he had appeared, the apparition vanished, leaving behind only silence and the faint glow of the artifacts. High above Earth, aboard the Centauri flagship, Queen Valithra watched the events unfold through her scouts' surveillance feeds. Her heart raced at the sight of her son's spectral form reaching out to the humans. For years, she had clung to the hope that Caliph might still be alive, but seeing him like this, frail, distant, yet undeniably real, was both a blessing and a torment. Commander Zirak entered the chamber, his posture rigid with urgency. Your Majesty, the artifact has activated a spatial beacon. It is transmitting a signal. Not to us, but outward toward uncharted territory. Valithra turned to face him, her multifaceted eyes gleaming with determination. Uncharted or not, we must follow it. If my son is alive and these humans are somehow connected, we cannot afford to delay. Zirak hesitated. Your Majesty, the risks are immense. These coordinates lie beyond our known domains. And the humans, they may attempt to interfere. They already have, Valithra replied sharply. Their actions thus far suggest they are not merely passive bystanders. They possess qualities we have long underestimated: ingenuity, empathy, and perhaps even courage. Whether allies or adversaries, they will play a role in this. Prepare the fleet. We leave immediately. Back on Earth, Jonas wrestled with the enormity of the situation. The coordinates pointed to a star system light years away, a journey impossible with current human technology. But abandoning the quest felt equally unthinkable. As he paced the barn, Ellie tugged gently at his sleeve. Dad, we can't give up. she said firmly, surprising him with her conviction. That prince needs help. He believes in us. Jonas knelt down to meet her gaze. Ellie, sweetheart, I want to help too, but we're just ordinary people. How can we possibly go to the stars? Evelyn stepped forward, clutching a stack of papers covered in scribbled notes. Maybe we aren't entirely ordinary anymore. Look at what we've done so far. We deciphered alien symbols, communicated with an artifact, and now we know the prince is alive. That's extraordinary. But how? Jonas pressed. Even if we build a spaceship, which we absolutely cannot, we'd never get there in time. Evelyn hesitated before replying, her tone thoughtful. What if we don't need to build a ship? What if the artifact itself can take us there? Jonas stared at her, incredulous. You think this thing is some kind of teleportation device? I don't know what it is, Evelyn admitted. But it's clearly advanced beyond anything we've ever seen. Maybe activating it fully will reveal its purpose. With no better plan, they decided to test Evelyn's theory. Using the makeshift equipment in the barn, they carefully calibrated the interface to amplify the artifact's energy output. As the machinery whirred to life, the artifacts began to glow brighter, their combined light filling the room until it became almost blinding. Suddenly, a portal opened, a swirling vortex of colors and light that seemed to stretch infinitely into the unknown. The air crackled with energy, and the ground beneath their feet vibrated faintly. Jonas shielded Ellie instinctively while Evelyn stumbled back, her expression a mix of terror and exhilaration. It's working, she exclaimed. This is it. Before they could react further, a low rumble shook the earth. In the distance, the sky lit up with streaks of green and purple, the unmistakable signs of an alien vessel descending. The Zentari had arrived, Commander. Xeric led a contingent of warriors, their towering forms casting long shadows as they approached the barn. Their weapons glinted ominously in the morning light. Jonas stepped forward, positioning himself between the aliens and his daughter. If you're here to stop us, you'll have to go through me first, he declared, his voice steady despite the fear coursing through him. To everyone's surprise, Xeric lowered his weapon slightly. We are not here to harm you, he rasped, though his tone remained cautious. We seek the same truth you do. Our queen demands answers. Queen Valithra herself emerged from the ship moments later, her regal presence commanding immediate attention. She locked eyes with Jonas, her gaze piercing, yet tinged with something akin ire hope. Human, she began, her voice resonating deeply, you carry something of great importance to my people. Will you cooperate, or must we act against you? Jonas glanced at Ellie, then at Evelyn, before turning back to the Queen. We didn't ask for this, he said evenly. But if your son is out there, we'll do everything we can to bring him home. Just know this, we're not giving up control of the artifact. Not unless we trust you. Valithra studied him intently, her mandibles twitching. There was strength in his words, a quiet defiance that spoke volumes about humanity's resilience. Finally, she nodded. Very well, we shall travel together. But make no mistake, this alliance is fragile. With the portal still active, the unlikely team prepared to step into the unknown. Humans and Zentari alike stood side by side, united by a shared goal. For the first time, the aliens saw humanity not as weak or insignificant, but as beings capable of standing firm when it mattered most. As Jonas took Ellie's hand and stepped into the vortex, he felt a surge of determination. Whatever awaited them on the other side, one thing was certain. Humanity had proven itself worthy of being noticed and feared. And somewhere in the depths of space, Prince Calith waited, his fate hanging in the balance. The journey through the portal was unlike anything Jonas Harper or any human had ever experienced. One moment they stood in the dusty confines of their barn, surrounded by familiar sights and sounds. The next, they were hurtling through a kaleidoscope of light and sound, as if reality itself had unraveled around them. Ellie clung tightly to her father's hand, her wide eyes reflecting the swirling colors that danced across the void. Evelyn Carter stumbled slightly but managed to stay upright, clutching her notebook like a lifeline. Behind them, the Zentari warriors moved with eerie grace, their towering forms shimmering faintly in the shifting luminescence. When the vortex finally spat them out, they found themselves on an alien world unlike anything Earth had to offer. The sky above was a deep indigo streaked with veins of gold, while the ground beneath their feet shimmered like liquid crystal. Towering structures made of translucent material rose into the horizon, their surfaces pulsating softly with inner light. It was beautiful, but also unsettling, as though the planet itself were alive and watching them. "This place," Evelyn whispered, her voice trembling with awe. "It's incredible." Jonas nodded slowly, his grip on Ellie's hand tightening. Instinctively, "Yeah, incredible doesn't even begin to cover it." Queen Velithra stepped forward, her multifaceted eyes scanning the landscape with a mixture of wonder and suspicion. She raised one clawed hand, signaling her warriors to fan out and secure the area. Despite the breathtaking beauty of their surroundings, none of them could afford to let their guard down, not when Prince Calith's life hung in the balance. As they ventured deeper into the alien terrain, the artifacts began to hum more intensely, their glow growing brighter with each step. It was clear they were being guided toward something or someone, but what awaited them at the end of this path remained a mystery. Hours passed as the unlikely alliance pressed onward, navigating winding pathways lined with strange flora that seemed to pulse in time with the artifact's rhythm. The air grew colder, and the once vivid colors of the environment faded into muted shades of gray and silver. Eventually, they reached a massive structure at the heart of the alien world, a colossal spire that pierced the heavens. Its surface etched with intricate patterns resembling the symbols they had decoded back on Earth. At the base of the spire lay a doorway, framed by glowing runes that pulsed in sync with the artifacts. As Jonas approached, the door slid open silently, revealing a darkened chamber within. Inside, suspended in midair by some unseen force, was Prince Calith himself. His form was frail, almost translucent, and his eyes were closed as though he were in a deep sleep. Around him floated dozens of smaller artifacts, all connected to his body by thin threads of light. Ellie gasped, tugging on Jonas's sleeve. "Dad, is he okay?" Before Jonas could answer, Queen Velithra rushed forward, her voice thick with emotion. "Calith," she called, reaching out toward her son. But before she could touch him, a barrier of energy flared to life, forcing her back. A new presence emerged from the shadows, a towering figure, clad in shimmering robes that seemed to shift and flow like water. Its face was obscured by a mask of light, making it impossible to discern its features. The entity exuded an aura of immense power, causing even the Zentari warriors to take a cautious step backward. "You have come far," the entity intoned, its voice resonating like a chorus of whispers. "But the price of reuniting with your prince is steep. Are you prepared to pay it?" Queen Velithra straightened, her composure regaining strength. "What do you mean? What price?" The entity gestured toward the artifacts surrounding Calith. "These devices are fragments of a greater whole, a mechanism designed to preserve life. Your son's essence has been tethered to them, kept safe from death's grasp. To restore him fully, the artifacts must be reunited. However, doing so will destabilize the fabric of this realm and perhaps others." Evelyn stepped forward hesitantly, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "If we bring the artifacts together, what happens to this place? To us?" "The consequences are uncertain," the entity replied cryptically. "This world exists outside the boundaries of linear time and space. Its destruction may ripple outward, affecting countless realities including your own." Jonas felt a chill run down his spine. He glanced at Ellie, who looked up at him with trusting eyes, then at Evelyn, whose expression mirrored his own unease. Turning to Queen Velithra, he asked, "Do you trust us enough to make this decision together? Because if we mess this up, it's not just your people who'll suffer, it's everyone." For a moment, silence hung heavy in the air. Then, to everyone's surprise, Queen Velithra bowed her head slightly, a gesture of respect rarely seen among the Zentari. "You speak wisely, human. Very well, let us decide as one." Commander Zirak bristled at the suggestion, stepping forward angrily. Your Majesty, we cannot entrust such a critical task to these primitives. Velithra silenced him with a sharp glare. Enough, Zirak. Their actions thus far have proven their worth. If humanity is capable of standing beside us, then so be it. With no time to waste, the group set to work. Using the combined knowledge of Evelyn's research and the Zentari's advanced technology, they devised a plan to merge the artifacts safely. Jonas and Ellie played a crucial role, their connection to the objects allowing them to guide the process intuitively. Each artifact emitted a soft chime as it aligned with the others, creating a symphony of harmonious tones that filled the chamber. But as the final piece clicked into place, the ground beneath them began to quake violently. The spire trembled, cracks forming along its surface as waves of energy radiated outward. The entity's voice echoed ominously. The choice has been made. Prepare yourselves. Panic surged through the group as the chamber started collapsing around them. Queen Velithra grabbed Calip's unconscious form, shielding him protectively. Jonas scooped Ellie into his arms, shouting for Evelyn to follow closely behind. The Zentari warriors formed a defensive perimeter, their weapons trained on the chaos unfolding around them. Just as it seemed the entire structure would collapse, the artifacts released a blinding burst of light. For a brief moment, everything froze, the quaking stopped, the cracks sealed themselves, and the air grew still. When the light faded, the spire remained intact, its surface now gleaming brighter than ever. Prince Caliph stirred, his eyes fluttering. Open as color returned to his form. Queen Velithra embraced him fiercely, tears streaming down her face. "My child," she murmured, her voice breaking, "you are home." But the victory came at a cost. The entity's warning lingered in their minds, a reminder that the repercussions of their actions might not yet be fully realized. As they prepared to return to Earth, humanity and the Zentari shared a newfound understanding, one forged in sacrifice, unity, and hope. For the first time, the stars didn't seem so distant. The aftermath of the artifact's activation left everyone standing in stunned silence, their breaths shallow as they absorbed the enormity of what had just happened. Prince Caliph stood on his own now, though still weak and leaning heavily on Queen Velithra. His presence was no longer translucent but solid, alive with a vitality that hadn't been there before. Yet the cost weighed heavily on all of them. Trembling ground, the fractured spire, and the ominous warning from the entity echoed in their minds like an unspoken debt. Jonas Harper looked around at the group, his heart pounding. This wasn't over yet. The alien world around them felt unstable, its shimmering landscape flickering faintly as if struggling to hold itself together. "We need to leave," he said firmly, breaking the tense quiet. "Now," Queen Velithra nodded sharply, her regal composure returning despite the tears still glistening on her face. "Agreed. Commander Zirak, prepare the extraction protocols. We cannot linger here." Zirak barked orders to the Zentari warriors, who immediately began setting up a portable teleportation device capable of transporting them back to their ship. Meanwhile, Jonas turned to Evelyn and Ellie, ensuring they were safe. Ellie clutched her stuffed animal tightly, her wide eyes reflecting both wonder and fear. "Dad," she whispered, tugging on his sleeve, "is it going to fall apart?" Jonas knelt down, meeting her gaze with a reassuring smile. "I don't know, sweetheart. But we're not letting anything happen to you, not after coming this far." Evelyn stepped closer, clutching her notebook to her chest. Her voice trembled slightly as she spoke. "If this place collapses, it could destabilize everything, the artifacts, the planet, maybe even nearby systems. We have to be careful." As the Zentari worked, the humans noticed something strange happening to the artifacts. Instead of dimming after reuniting Prince Caliph, they continued to glow brighter, pulsating in rhythm with the planet itself. It was as if the objects weren't done yet. They were trying to communicate one final message. Ellie approached the nearest artifact cautiously, her small hand reaching out instinctively. As soon as her fingers brushed against its surface, a surge of energy rippled through the chamber, projecting a holographic map into the air. Unlike the previous coordinates, this map depicted multiple locations across the galaxy, each marked by a glowing symbol. What does it mean? Evelyn asked, stepping forward to examine the projection. She pointed to one of the symbols, a swirling pattern identical to the markings on the artifacts. These look like waypoints? Or maybe destinations. Commander Xeric growled low. In his throat, his mandibles twitching irritably. More riddles. Humans, explain yourself. It's not us doing this. Jonas snapped back, frustration bubbling to the surface. This is their technology, not ours. If anyone should understand, it's you. Before tensions could escalate further, Queen Velithra intervened, raising a clawed hand for silence. Enough, she commanded, her voice resonating with authority. Turning to Evelyn, she added, You claim these symbols represent destinations. Do you believe they are connected to my son, or perhaps to other survivors? Evelyn hesitated, then nodded slowly. It's possible. These artifacts seem designed to preserve life. So maybe there are others out there like Caliph people who've been saved or hidden away using this same system. Caliph, who had remained silent until now, finally spoke. His voice was soft but carried a weight that demanded attention. Mother, I remember fragments. Before I disappeared, I was part of a mission to safeguard knowledge, to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. His gaze shifted to Jonas and Ellie, lingering on the young girl. Perhaps these humans are meant to help us finish what we started. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity, once dismissed as insignificant, was now being seen as integral to the survival of something far greater than themselves. For the first time, the Zentari truly understood the depth of human ingenuity, not just in their ability to adapt and solve problems, but in their capacity for empathy and sacrifice. Queen Velithra studied Jonas intently, her multifaceted eyes piercing yet softened by gratitude. Human, she began, her tone measured but sincere. You and your kind have proven yourselves worthy allies. Together we will uncover the truth behind these symbols and ensure that no one else suffers as my son did. Jonas swallowed hard, feeling the weight of her words settle over him. Allies, huh? That's a big step for you. Velithra inclined her head slightly. Yes, perhaps too late, but better late than never. With the decision made, the group prepared to leave the alien world. The Zentari activated their teleportation device, creating a shimmering portal that pulsed invitingly. One by one, they stepped through, carrying the artifacts with them. Jonas held Ellie's hand tightly as they crossed the threshold, the unfamiliar sensation of interdimensional travel washing over them once again when they emerged on the other side. They found themselves aboard the Zentari flagship, the Sleek. Interior was a stark contrast to the ethereal beauty of the alien planet, but it offered a sense of safety and stability. Prince Caliph was taken to the medical bay to recover fully, while the rest gathered in the command center to discuss their next move. As the holographic map reappeared above the central console, Evelyn traced the glowing symbols thoughtfully. Each of these locations could hold answers or more survivors, but traveling to them won't be easy. Some are deep in uncharted space, others near hostile territories. Queen Velithra straightened, her resolve unwavering. Then we shall chart new courses and face whatever dangers lie ahead. My empire owes humanity a debt one I intend to repay by working alongside you. For the first time, Commander Xeric didn't argue. Instead, he stood silently beside his queen, his expression unreadable but tinged with respect. Even the Zentari? Warriors seemed to regard the humans differently now, not as inferiors, but as equals. Jonas looked around at the assembly, feeling a mix of pride and humility. They had come so far from a quiet farming town to the brink of galactic significance. And though the road ahead promised challenges, he knew they wouldn't face them alone. Ellie tugged on his arm, her voice breaking the reflective silence. Dad, do you think we'll find more people like Caliph? Jonas smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Maybe, and if we do, we'll make sure they get home too. Far beyond the stars, the galaxy watched and waited, unaware that humanity had just taken its first steps toward becoming something greater. The artifact's glow pulsed softly, a beacon of hope and a reminder that courage knows no species, The journey back to Earth was a quiet one, filled with moments of reflection and unspoken gratitude. The Zentari flagship glided silently through the stars, its sleek hull reflecting the distant light of suns they passed along the way. Inside, humanity and the insectoid empire sat side by side in an uneasy but hopeful alliance. For the first time in history, two vastly different species shared not just space, but purpose. Jonas Harper stood at one of the observation windows, staring out into the endless expanse of the cosmos. Ellie was curled up beside him, her head resting on his shoulder as she slept soundly. Despite everything they had been through, the fear, the uncertainty, the sheer impossibility of it all, she looked peaceful now, as though the weight of the universe no longer rested on her small shoulders. Dr. Evelyn Carter joined them after finishing her analysis of the artifacts. She carried her ever-present notebook, though its pages were now nearly full. "You know," she said softly, breaking the silence, "this might be the most important thing humanity has ever done." Jonas chuckled dryly. "Funny, doesn't feel like we did much. Just stumbled our way through most of it." Evelyn shook her head. "That's exactly why it matters. You didn't have advanced tech or centuries of training. You relied on instinct, creativity, and heart. That's what makes us human. And that's what the Zentari needed to see." As if summoned by her words, Queen Velithra entered the chamber, her towering form casting long shadows across the floor. Her multifaceted eyes locked onto Jonas, and for a moment neither spoke. Finally she inclined her head slightly, a gesture of respect far more profound than any words could convey. "You have changed my perspective. Human," she said, her voice resonating deeply. "For generations we viewed your kind as insignificant, fleeting sparks destined to fade. But you have proven yourselves capable of enduring flames bright enough to light even the darkest corners of the galaxy." Jonas shifted uncomfortably. Under her gaze, "We're just trying to survive, same as anyone else." Velithra's mandibles twitched faintly, something akin to a smile crossing her alien features. "Survival is only part of it. It is how you choose to live and fight that defines a species. My people will remember this day. We will remember you." Before Jonas could respond, Commander Zirek approached, his posture rigid but noticeably less hostile than before. He handed Velithra a data tablet displaying the mapped coordinates from the artifacts. "Your Majesty, the fleet is prepared to begin exploring these locations. Shall we proceed?" Velithra nodded. "Yes, but this time we do so alongside humanity." Turning back to Jonas, she added, "Will you join us? Your insight has proven invaluable." Jonas hesitated, glancing at Ellie, who stirred awake at the sound of voices. Her sleepy eyes widened as she realized what was being asked. "Dad, are we going back to the stars?" He knelt down to meet her gaze, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Only if you want to, sweetheart. This isn't something we have to do, it's something we choose to do." Ellie thought for a moment, then nodded firmly. "I want to help, like we helped Caliph." Jonas smiled, pride swelling in his chest. Rising to his feet, he turned to Velithra. "All right, we're in." When the ship finally descended upon Willowbrook, the sight of the massive Zentari vessel hovering above the fields drew gasps of awe and wonder from the townsfolk. Tom Harris and other neighbors gathered cautiously, their initial fear giving way to curiosity as Jonas stepped off the ramp alongside Queen Velithra and Prince Caliph. "Everyone," Jonas began, raising his hands to quiet the murmurs, "these are the Zentari. They came here looking for answers, and together we found them. This is just the beginning. There's still so much out there waiting to be discovered." "Queen." Velithra stepped forward, her towering form casting a shadow over the crowd. Though her appearance was intimidating, her tone was measured and respectful. "To the people of Willowbrook, I offer my gratitude. Your courage has opened doors none thought possible. Together we will forge a new path, not as conquerors, but as partners." The crowd erupted into cheers, moved by the unexpected unity between humans and aliens. Later that evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the town celebrated with laughter, music, and shared stories. For the first time, humanity felt like part of something larger, a tapestry woven from countless threads, each unique yet interconnected. Weeks later, the combined human Centauri fleet set out once more, guided by the glowing symbols of the artifacts. Each destination brought new discoveries, ancient civilizations preserved in stasis, forgotten technologies buried beneath layers of time, and survivors like Keleth, clinging to life thanks to the artifact's intervention. With every mission, trust deepened, bonds strengthened, and understanding grew. Back on Earth, Willowbrook became a symbol of hope. News of humanity's alliance with the Centauri spread across the globe, inspiring millions to look beyond their differences and dream of a brighter future. Jonas, Ellie, and Evelyn returned home occasionally, bringing tales of their adventures and reminding everyone that even the smallest actions could ripple outward, changing the course of history. One night, as Jonas and Ellie stood beneath the stars, he pointed to a particularly bright constellation. "See that?" he asked. "That's where we're headed next. Who knows what we'll find?" Ellie grinned, clutching the stuffed animal she'd brought along on every journey. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out. Because we're human and we don't give up." Far above, the Centauri fleet shimmered against the velvet sky, its lights blinking in rhythm with the pulse of the artifacts. Queen Velithra watched from her throne room, her thoughts drifting to the humble farmer and his daughter who had defied expectations. Humanity had proven itself not just resilient but extraordinary, a beacon of ingenuity, empathy, and determination. And somewhere among the stars, the universe whispered its approval.